Alone in the Dark is complete and utter garbage, and yet it's an experience that had me laughing out loud more than any other game I can think of. So it's an action horror title about a demon trying to take over mankind, starting with New York. It's up to our hero to stop them.
I don't have your stone, and fuck you anyway!
To do this, you have to solve puzzles, you have to cremate demonic creatures, and play through a story that's far more action than it is survival horror. In fact, there's almost no horror here whatsoever, except for some of the enemy designs. They look pretty good. But other than that, there is nothing particularly scary about this game. It very quickly descends into absolute madness, with destruction and explosions, so much so it leaves you shaking your head thinking, what is happening? What is happening? And before you know it, you're fighting a demon with a frying pan, and then dragging their body onto fire. And then you get into a car. Vehicles are flying at you and things are exploding all around. It takes over-the-top action to a whole new level of stupid, and it really is a fun opening.
Jesus, you're cut! Almost down to the bone!
I'll be alright.
An ambulance! Get over here!
And then you've got the soundtrack, which is superb. So much better than you'd expect from a game like this. I believe it's sung in Bulgarian. It treats even the dumbest thing like it's the greatest, most emotional scene ever.
Meet me at the museum, Edward. Room 943. No!
It creates this clashing tone between B-movie schlock and a serious TV drama that really shouldn't work together, and yet it does so, comically. I don't know if the team behind the game intended for this clash of tone, or knew that they were making something funny, but I'm guessing probably not.
And one of the elements is that you will be able to interact directly with your environment. These elements are based on real-world rules.
The Inferno Edition of the game was released for the PS3, and according to Wikipedia has fewer glitches. Okay, well if this is fewer glitches, then I don't need to see what the original release is like. But again, even the bugs and glitches become part of the charm, as it's just another thing to laugh at. The physics can be so messed up that you never quite know how the game's gonna act. Melee fighting has this weird mechanic where you rotate the right stick around to wiggle your weapon, but it ends up feeling clumsy and makes it look like someone's controlling a character with a VR headset. Unfortunately, just like the car crash that this game is, the fun soon comes to an abrupt halt. After the explosive few opening episodes, things slow right down, and it becomes a dull adventure rather than an action-packed spectacle. It throws in less than interesting puzzles, and an open world section of Central Park which gives you the option of driving around destroying roots of evil, and it generally just becomes boring, and that's the worst thing that a game can be. And by this point you can't take anything in the story seriously, despite how hard the game tries to. That's not to say that it's all bad, it still does have some surprisingly cinematic shots, like this one, where if you look closely you can see dead bodies on the seats. And I like the way it uses your point of view to do things like healing wounds, or to see what you've got in your inventory as you look through your pockets. While it is still pretty unrealistic that you can carry 4 vodka bottles in your coat, it does at least try to use logic as to how you're able to carry all of these items at once. In fact, it may be the only time that the game tries to use logic. Shooting's done in first person, but it's far from a first person shooter. I would have preferred if it just stuck to third person, to be honest, rather than switching between the two. Only going into first person for healing and item management as a more creative version of a menu system. Alone in the Dark is a tough one to recommend. Yeah, I did laugh a lot and had some initial fun with it, but I'm not sure that everyone would get that from it. Plus it does get pretty bad as the game goes on, becoming tedious and dull. There is a pretty handy skip feature where you can jump forward to any episode or any section of any episode at any point, regardless of whether you've played it or not. So it may be worth playing through the good bits and as soon as you get bored, skip ahead. This may not be a very good way to play a game, but hey, this isn't a very good game.